What's up, guys? Mike Garrick back with more mental toughness, high performance nutrition, and ways to create lean, powerful bodies. And that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the deadlift part 2. We're talking about the mechanics of the deadlift. So we just did part 1 where we went over the anatomy and some things that need to be covered, some foundational things that need to be covered. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over the mechanics, the actual flow of the sequence, and we're going to be talking about the mechanics of the deadlift itself. It's going to be a much shorter video, so let's go. All right, I know this angle kind of sucks, but I wasn't really expecting the glare of the lights off this glass that I spent a lot of time writing this really cool outline with these wet erase markers. But anyway, we're going to make it work. So let's go through the mechanics of the deadlift. So number 1, we talked about the brace. It's really important to learn that bracing sequence so that you can brace yourself and you can start off in a neutral brace, strong, proper posture position before you go into the actual lift itself. This is really, really important, okay? You don't want to be conditioning a shitty pattern. So make sure that you have that bracing sequence down. Make sure you know how to engage your core, and make sure especially you know how to hinge your hips, okay? Now that brings us to number 2, the 2 big functions of the lift, and that is hinging at the hips and breaking at the knees, right? So basically what we're doing is, if you look at me from the side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hinge at the hips, which means my hips are going to go backwards as I'm holding the weight. And as they go backwards, my arms that are holding the bar are going to start to drop down. And then once they approach the knees or get to the knees or just past the knees, you're going to break at the knees and you're going to go straight down. At this point, make sure you look at the shins. Make sure the shins are vertical. You don't want your knees coming over the front of the bar, or you don't want to be leaning over so that the bar moves away from the shins. That bar should move directly straight up and down. So it's going to be right next to your shins on the way down. Number 3. When you're down in this position, what you're going to do is you're going to grab the bar. Your hands are going to be on each side of your legs, unless you're doing sumo position, but we're talking about the conventional lift in this video specifically. You're going to, basically your hands are going to be on each side of your legs, really nice and tight, and you're going to grab the bar, and you're going to break the bar. Now, what this does is this will engage your external rotators and engage your lats, which is extremely important, right? It's bracing your shoulder girdle. This is really important. It's tying in your upper back to your lower body. So when you're breaking the bar, you're grabbing the bar and you're trying to externally rotate it. So when you're looking down, you're trying to break it so that if you broke the bar, your thumbs would come up in a thumbs up position. And that's number 3. Number 4, once you're in this position, now you're at the bottom position here. And if you look from the side here, you'll notice that your hips are not down at a 90-degree angle. They're actually up a little bit higher. Some people will drop their hips down too low, almost like a squat from the ground up, and this is not correct. We want to make sure that our hips are higher than that so that we engage the hamstrings and the posterior chain. So at this position, number 4, what we're going to do is we're going to push down with our legs. It's like doing a leg press, but you're in this squatted position. And it feels really like you're pushing the ground away from you. So you're trying to push down. So that bar is going to move straight up. And as it moves straight up, it's going to move straight up your shins. And your shins should still remain vertical. And then as soon as it hits your knee, all right, and just past your knee, this is when you're going to start to extend your hips. And your hips are going to come forward by gripping your glutes. Now don't get in the habit of jutting your hips forward. You don't want to jut your hips forward, because you can overextend your back. All you do is you grip your glutes really hard and you just stand up and you're in that straight up position. Now at the same time, you want to make sure that your shoulders are back and contracted and protected. Okay, so let's go back over steps 1 through 5 in real time. You're standing there, you brace, you hinge at the hips, you break at the knees. When you approach the bar, you break the bar. You push your legs away from the floor, pushing down into the floor, and as the bar moves up, as soon as it clears the knees, you're going to extend the hips. And then you do this in reverse to go back down. It's that simple. All right, guys, that's it for part 2, the mechanics of the deadlift. So once again, part 1, we went over the anatomy. Part 2, we go through the actual mechanics of the deadlift. And in part 3, what we're going to go over is we're actually going to go over the equipment, the setup, the execution, and the major mistakes that most people make when doing the actual deadlift. Now, if you guys are interested in learning more on how to create a lean, powerful body, as well as high-performance nutrition and mental toughness, taking and tying all these things and directing them towards a purpose in a 90-day program, go to mynutritionbody.com and check out how you could become part of the Warrior 5 program today.
Welcome to the future.